my name is Tammy Lockhart, and I want to tell you my story about my cats and my experience with Susan Vaughn. Actually, I've worked with Susan a few times, and I actually had called her because I was moving down to South Carolina from Massachusetts after 30 years. And I was really worried about the cats staying in the hotels and being upset. And then when we got here, I was really worried that there's alligators and poisonous snakes. So Susan had a conversation with them and prepared them for what was coming up and gave me exercises that would help them with the transition. So when we got here, which we did very successfully, I'm happy to say, all that preparation really paid off. So it was about a week we were here, and my cats are indoor-outdoor cats, and so after a week I put in a door so they can go in and out, which they've always done. And they kind of walked in and out, but seemed really uninterested in going very far. And Fergus is going to help tell the story because he's the hero. I'm up here for it. And so Angus, our youngest one, who's only 2 weeks younger than Fergus, went out the door, came back, but then he went out and he disappeared. And then he was gone a day, and then he was gone 2 days. And by 3 days I was completely frantic, and I called Susan. And she called me right back to tell me that he was okay, and that she would call me later for a longer conversation. So she did. She called me back later, and she conversed back and forth. Angus was nearby, but he was having a really good time. He was saying how much I had built the place up, and here he was enjoying it. But he also was a little upset about some things that happened during the trip, because he wanted to be able to look out the window, and I just couldn't arrange that. But I was really upset because it had been several days. So as the conversation progressed, my other cat, Fergus, told Susan that he would mediate the situation. And Fergus was the one, this is a whole other story, but Fergus is the one that brought Angus into the family in the first place, and they sleep together and play together. So I finally went to sleep that night, and when I woke up, Fergus was gone. And Fergus had not been going out, really, because he doesn't like to mess his fur up. He was gone for a whole day, and it had started to rain, and so I told him in my mind if he needed to come home and he couldn't get Angus right away, that he could come back, because, as I said, he doesn't like to get his fur wet. And then he came home, he stayed home 2 days, and then he went out and he was gone for 2 whole days. And then he came back and he stayed home for about a day or two, and then he went out yet again a whole day. And that evening, Fergus came home and he was howling and howling like he never does, yowling. And I looked back and I could hear more howling, and here was Angus. He had brought Angus back to the condo. And at first I couldn't catch Angus. In fact, he sort of ran away, and then he started howling. I could hear him from our balcony, and I ran outside with a bag of treats. And with the bag of treats, I was able to get him close enough to grab him and bring him in. And he was acting almost sort of feral, but I think what it is, because we had a couple little incidences, he's so overwhelmed with all the new things that he almost doesn't know what to do. So he seems to be fine now, and they understand they live in a condo tree house because we're on the 2nd floor. But I cannot tell you how grateful I was for Susan's help with Fergus getting Angus to come home and make us a happy family. And we are a very happy, cuddly bunch now, and I have to tell you, she just was a huge, huge, huge thing for me to get my baby back. So I cannot recommend her too much. And she also, when I had a horse, was very helpful with my horse as well. So this is my testimony for Susan Vaughn. She's the greatest. Thank you. And here's 2 of our cast. We didn't mention Alex on the right because he really didn't do anything. But here's our hero, Fergus, who is just the best kitty in the whole world, and very psychic, this one. I can call both he and his brother in my minds very easily. And here is our little prodigal son, Angus, my little busy boy.
Put your hands up.
The vet says he's part Abyssinian, and he is very curious and busy and keeps everybody else in shape. He exercises the other 2. But we miss him. He's my cuddle bug.